Hello everyone, greetings from Chateau Buffamont. I'm Sarp, your manager here at the Chateau and your host on these weekly interview sessions live on Instagram. Welcome aboard, thank you for joining in and for your continuous support on these sessions where we interview different vendors from the wedding industry for hot tips and professionals from the events to share suggestions that might be useful for you. I hope you're all feeling as pumped as I am. Beautiful weather, summer, almost here. Things are calming down, and the end of the tunnel seems like it's so close I can feel it. Give me a raise of hands if you're interested and want to talk about a completely new concept that is becoming quite popular, and it looks like it will be even more trendy in the next few years. We will talk about elopements and very small wedding ceremonies. To share her expertise, we have an agency who specialized exactly on this topic, and I can say that they are doing a great job. Let's welcome Chantelle Street from the Kiss in Paris, the executive planner. Hello, Chantelle.
Hi.
Wonderful to see you. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm here with my dog Brownie.
All right.
How
are
things?
things?
I have some champagne for you because we're in Paris, right?
Thank you. Yes,
it's a beautiful afternoon, so I have my rosé.
Cheers. Thank you. Great. That's a great idea for the next episode. I'll make sure to have few bottles lying around so that these things can get even more fun. So, how was your week after the end of the isolation? Are things starting to move?
Yeah, well, listen, it's been tough for the last couple of months, kind of being locked in.
Of course.
And yesterday was the first day we met up with our team. And we went down to the Eiffel Tower, and it was such a beautiful day. The sky was blue, the sun was shining.
Exciting.
It would just have been like the perfect day for a million photo shoots, which is what we would have been doing in Paris. So it was kind of surreal that it was so empty, but you know, we took the time, we social distanced, of course. And we took some great photos and just kind of reminisce about, you know, when the industry is coming back, and you know, yeah, we're excited about where we are in Paris in regards to the pandemic. And hopefully things continue to improve so that we can welcome everybody back again.
Sounds awesome. So Chantelle, you're from the US.
Yes.
Tell us a bit who you are and how did you end up in France?
Okay, so I am Chantelle Marie, and I am married to Cengiz Özelcel, and we both own Kiss Me in Paris. Now, it's an interesting story because we did not start out in this industry at all. We're both from Wall Street, and we actually met in graduate school.
Awesome.
And we were both living our Wall Street lives, and you know, we got married in between.
Yes, that's a good parenthesis.
We were both living our Wall Street lives, and you know, at some point we realized that we were just not being fulfilled, and we wanted to do something that was our own. And so we started a Dijon studio, which is our luxury wedding business, and it's still going strong in the US. And out of that business, we had an amazing couple that came in and wanted to go to Paris because it was one of their favorite cities, and they wanted to come to Paris and relive the adventure. And of course, you know, they covered all expenses, and my husband came and we shot, and it was amazing, like 24-hour shoot, Moulin Rouge, Trocadero, everywhere.
Awesome
and
experience.
Those pictures went viral, and we started getting loads of requests for, you know, Paris shoots, but unfortunately that was very expensive. So the next alternative was to open an office here, and luckily we found a partner who was amazing, super talented, and we got together, and Kiss Me in Paris was born. So that first shoot was in 2009, and we started Kiss Me in Paris officially in 2013.
Congratulations. So what do you do within Kiss in Paris as a company? What type of services do you provide?
Well, we started out as a photography company, and in the US, we're still primarily a photography company. But what we realized when we got here was that there's so many things that foreigners need when they come here outside of photography. So we ended up fielding so many calls and questions and all of that. And out of that need, we decided, okay, what if we expand our services so that we can really be a comprehensive resource to our clients, right? Because at the end of the day, we want to make things as easy as possible for them, you know, and especially me coming here to like a completely different culture, language, all of that. You know, I appreciated getting like, you know, the cheat sheet, stuff that makes things easier, you know? So we wanted to be that for our clients. So we wanted to help them with planning their elopements, planning their intimate weddings, you know, everything outside of, not everything, but, you know, certain things outside of photography where we felt like we could really be a great fit and we could provide value.
Okay, sounds good. Perfect.
I didn't answer your question.
Yeah.
So we do like outside of photography, we do a lot of proposals as well as proposal planning. We do elopements as well as elopement plannings. We do intimate weddings as well as intimate wedding plannings. We do some larger scale weddings, but not a tremendous amount of them. But even when we don't, we have amazing planners in Paris that we recommend.
Okay, that sounds exciting, and I like the idea that having very specialized into these very intimate get-togethers and of course marriage proposals is a very good idea. So let's get to the planning steps a bit. Like most of us in the wedding industry, you have had to do a lot of rescheduling. How have you been as the agency dealing with these reservations and date modification process?
Yes. Well, the thing is that for us, a lot of our sessions, especially in this time, so starting at May and going all the way through the summer, September, October, we're booked way in advance.
Sure.
So because people plan their travel way in advance, and people try and plan their events way in advance. So it's been challenging in that sense because of course people have had to reschedule, you know, and our normal policy is no rescheduling, no refunds, no nothing, because the problem is when someone books, they take a slot that could go to somebody else.
Sure.
But with COVID and with everything that's been going on, you know, it really is, you know, we're kind of all in this together. It's like nobody's fault. So we really have been trying to be there for our clients as much as possible. And yeah, we're rescheduling, not rescheduling just for 6 months or a year, like whenever you can, because we understand that this is complicated, you know, because you don't only have to worry about our fee and everything that's going on, but you also have to worry about your airlines and your hotel. And, you know, it's a big investment to come into Paris to do something like this. And we want to show clients that we're there for them and we understand, you know, we feel your pain, trust me. But we're there for you, and you know we want to make this work as much as possible. So we've been there, you know, helping people to, you know, push the date back, do whatever we can, and it's been great so far. I cannot it's been great. The clients have and the couples have been amazing. Okay,
so for brides and grooms, also some other agencies, hello Amazing Events Paris, for other agencies who's also watching us, what would you suggest if you would give 2 tips if other clients that also have to reschedule their own events and weddings?
Well, for the agencies, I would just say be flexible, you know? I mean, of course, you might already have rules and regulations in place, but as owners of our agencies, you know, we have the flexibility to kind of bend those rules a little bit. And we're all in it, like I said, we're all feeling this kind of pain. So, you know, what would you rather? Would you rather say to a client, oh no, this is the only way, and have them walk away upset? Or will you say, okay, you know what? It's not the best situation, but let's see how we can work it out so that it's a win-win for everybody involved. You know what I mean? And in terms of the clients, you know, first of all, I would say reach out to your providers, make sure that they can, you know, that you can get some, you know, pushback or delay in your event, Most people are going to be accommodating. I can't imagine anybody that wouldn't be in this situation. Now, of course, the degrees of accommodation, that's up in the air. But most people are going to be accommodating. And the thing I would say too is, from what I've been seeing, you know, there's been a ton of events like in the spring and the summer of 2020 that are now going to be canceled. Okay. So we're seeing a lot of people pushing to the fall of 2020 and to the spring of 2021. All right. Yes. So what does that mean? Yeah, you reach out to your vendor and they've told you that you can reschedule, but your rescheduling depends on availability. And if they're already booked, then that date is no longer good for you. Yes. So you really do need to come up with some kind of date. I really do think the fall of 2020 might be too early. So start thinking about 2021 and come up with some date and get some preliminary lock-in on that date so that you don't end up losing that vendor and having to cancel altogether, right? That's true. Very good point. Yeah, and ultimately when you do that, you know, just make sure you get some kind of language in your contract, even if it's to add an addendum that, you know, helps to protect you, so that if it doesn't work, then fine, we can do something, you know, we can extend it a little bit more or something like that. And also, especially if you're having, you know, a big wedding, I think it's going to be harder for larger weddings in the future. So you really do want to make sure that you get this in place, because we have no idea what's going to go on with the corona and how long this is going to last. And something else that you can do, by the way, is to have like a mini elopement now. Yes. And then just push your wedding back as far in the future as you need to, because until there's like a vaccine, you know, or something, just push it back as far as you can. But at least you would have gotten the ceremony and the, you know, one of the most important parts out of the way and completed.
Sounds like a very good idea. So that brings us to the main topic of today. Yes. You mentioned elopements and maybe small ceremonies. Yes. What is really an elopement? Tell us a bit more about what is an elopement.
Okay, so the way we think about an elopement, it really is two people taking a secret, you know, secret adventure together, and where they get married. It's usually just the two of them, or sometimes you might have a few other people.
Few guests are allowed in that case.
Exactly. So a few guests can be allowed, right? Because that's the great thing. That's what I love about elopements, is that they're very flexible. There are no rules. You do it the way you want. So if you want to have a couple of people there with you, then have a couple of people there with you. If you want it to be just the two of you, then have it be just the two of you, you know. But at some point you, and also going along the veins of flexibility and no rules, you can kind of do it the way you want, you know, like what it's the ceremony, it's the timeline of the day, it's the way things flow. You call all the shots. You can take a break if you want, you can start up later, you can do whatever you want. In terms of an intimate wedding, which is sometimes the things that people confuse elopements with, or I won't say confuse, but they're used interchangeably. I think of an intimate wedding more as like a smaller version of a large wedding.
I see.
It really does follow a lot of the same, you know, practices and procedures as a real live wedding, except on a much smaller scale. So yeah, that gives you more flexibility and you have more leeway in making certain decisions. But with, you know, intimate weddings, we still have people, you know, doing a website and sending out invitations and having a ceremony and having a reception and doing all of these things. But it's just a little bit more, it's just not as controlled as a real wedding, and you can really express yourself within that. So if you're the person that has like a fun group of friends, cool family members that all want to go on the road together and have fun, then definitely do it. And, you know, it's interesting what you were saying before about just the trends in the industry. But yeah, we're going to see, especially with larger weddings and with COVID, I think we're going to see a little bit more people diverting or kind of going more towards smaller events, less than 50 people. Those are some of the criteria that we have to meet. And, you know, just eloping so that they don't have to deal with it, you know, in case there's like another resurgence or something like that, you know?
I see. So you would say elopements may actually be the next big thing.
I think so.
Okay, that's great to hear.
I'm not sad about it. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so that's cover a good point. So if we were planning an elopement, where to start and how far in advance we need to actually
I think
start
it
making
ultimately depends on when you want your event to be. Like right now, you know, there really is no peak season and no low season.
Not anymore. Yeah.
But, you know, once things get back to normal, there really is a peak season and a low season. And if you care about certain vendors or if you want the best of the best, then you really, really, really do want to make sure that you start early. And by early, I mean like 10 months out. 10 months out, just starting to research, just starting to look at things, just starting to see, you know, what's out there, what's available, and, you know, getting an idea of what you want this to look like, you know, because I'm assuming when you first think about it, unless you come to Paris all the time, you really, or to wherever your elopement destination is, you really have no idea.
Sure.
So you just kind of start collecting data and seeing what it looks like or what you want it to look like so that it really reflects your taste and your significant other's taste. So in terms of how we do it here at Kiss Me in Paris, you know, someone will come in and say they're interested in an elopement. So the first thing that we do is we organize a call because we want to hear about you. We want to hear about you as a couple. We want to hear about your likes. We want to hear about the things that interest you. We want to hear about the things that are important to you. You know, we want to know, you know, okay, am I a chateau bride? Am I a, you know, a hotel bride? Am I a beer and hamburger bride? Like, none of it is wrong. It's all amazing if it really is truly you. And this way we're able to make recommendations, right? So there are two ways that you can go. You can either do a bespoke, not a bespoke, but just like a pre-packaged solution, which is great. So if you're not like super fussy, but you still want something very nice, then you have like these pre-packaged solutions that are perfectly made for you. Like you've got curated vendors, super high quality, that are going to come in and provide their service. Like all the different elements of the elopement are taken care of. Okay. And then all you need to do is figure out the location, what you want to do, all of this. Then of course you have something that's more bespoke or something that's tailored primarily for you. So this is for someone who says, I've been dreaming about this since I was 5 years old. I know exactly what I want. I know exactly how it needs to be done and all of that. Then you're going to want something a bit more personalized. And for that, of course, you know, we're going to sit down, we're going to, you know, figure out what's important to you and how we can get that done. And I wrote a few notes because I did not want to miss a step, because I know especially the bespoke part is extremely important, right? Sure. So basically, like I said, you know, and this is important either way, we want to create a timeline just so that the couple is aware of what's going to happen, right, down the line, all right? So whether it's 10 months out or 5 months out, we want to make sure that you understand these things need to get done before you get here, okay? Sure. Or when you get here. Then we focus on a budget, right? Then we choose our vendors that match your budget and the venue. Then we choose, you know, if it's not, you know, like if you want to do something more in the public, a ceremony or something like that, we choose a location within Paris. Then we create a Pinterest board so that we can really understand what your decor and what your aesthetic, what appeals to you. Sure. There's nothing better than creating a Pinterest board because people pin everything. And so you see a sense of what's going on in here, right? They put it into their pins. And then we create a vision board, right? And of the perfect day. So we whittle down your Pinterest board to stuff that's going to be specifically for your day. Okay. And then we create the final timeline including all the details, including photography, because that's tremendously important for
Very
elopement.
important, yes.
And then on the day, we just want to be a calming presence in your day to help you to just relax and enjoy, and to also execute to perfection so that it is the most amazing day that you've ever had or that you've dreamed about.
Okay, that sounds great. Very well elaborated, step-by-step guide. Actually, you should take notes. This could be useful as an ebook guide, even for the purposes too.
Good idea.
Yes. So you're very much open to personalization of the services. That means you can reply to many different requests. And what about the vendors? What kind of vendors you think one would need? Who else will be there? Officiant and music. Can you
Okay, so the things that I think about that are mandatory would be an officiant and a photographer.
I see.
Right?
Top two.
So those are the two things that it's kind of difficult to have an elopement without. But there are many other things that you can include in order to make the day really special. Okay, so you could do, you could add a florist, because you might want a bouquet or a boutonniere, or you want to do something really special on a table. You could think about a venue, like I said before, it's a chateau, or a salon, or a hotel, or something different, which is or a garden, or something that encompasses all of those. Musicians, there's something nice about having a guitarist or a string trio or quartet at your ceremony. Why not? Even if it's only the two of you, right?
Sure.
Or a car. I depending again on what the plans are, if you're planning on a photo session around Paris or you're around your city, I highly encourage a car service. It really makes things super easy to get around. You don't have to worry about, finding the next taxi or something like that.
Of course.
And hair and makeup, for sure. For sure. That's something that I highly recommend. It's a special day. You're getting married.
Picture perfect.
Exactly. Picture perfect, right?
Yes.
And, a videographer, I think, is also awesome. So, all of these depend, of course, on your budget and whether or not you can stretch to include those things. So that's what we work with you on, to figure out where your budget is, what we can do to create something that's super special for you no matter what.
Okay. So in terms of you said officiant is one of the most important vendors to be present as well. How does the ceremony work in terms of legality, and do we need witnesses? What does the officiant actually do?
So you don't need a witness because it's not a legal ceremony. So it's the only legal ceremonies that are allowed in France are at your town hall, even if you're French.
Sure.
And if you're a foreigner, then there are a lot of legalities that you have to get through. First of all, you have to live wherever you're getting married. You have to live in that township for at least 40 days. And then you have to apply for a license, for which you need a French permit. You also need your birth certificate, long form. You also need proof that you haven't been divorced. And if you've been divorced, you're legally, able to get married. You need all of these, and
lots of paperwork. So French,
exactly.
Right?
You need them in French.
Yes.
And not only that, but a lot of the people in these town halls, they don't speak English. So you also have to be somewhat fluent in French, or somebody needs to be fluent in French to be able to maneuver their way through all of this. So it doesn't sound very romantic, does it?
Yes. And can a foreigner also get married at their own consulate?
Well, I'm not really sure about that, because we don't have a lot of clients who want to get married at the consulate. So I haven't had the experience with that, but it doesn't mean that it isn't possible. I can find out about that and let you know. But usually we go two routes. It's people either wanting to do, or not wanting to do, but wanting to find out what's possible to get married in France legally, or the alternative, which is a symbolic ceremony.
Yes, I think much more flexible and easier.
Yes, and that's what we do the majority of ceremonies that come through Kiss Me in Paris. And basically, it really is just what it says, a symbolic ceremony. So you get married wherever you are from, you get married there, and then you come here. You should have your certificate, your marriage certificate with you, especially if you want to get married in a church. And there are certain churches that are English speaking that will allow you to get married there, but you do have to show that you are already married.
I see.
By the way, same thing for French people. So it's not just, they're not picking out the Americans or the foreigners.
Sure.
But in any event, for a symbolic ceremony, really all you need is an officiant who's able to deliver a ceremony in the format that you want. So whether you're religious or you're non-religious or you're same-sex or you're spiritual or you're whatever your religion is, you can find someone, or whatever your leaning is, you can find someone who's able to perform that ceremony for you.
I see.
Which makes things a lot easier.
Of course. So, would you like to give us now 2 tips that could help the brides and grooms who are maybe planning an elopement in the next coming years?
Well, yes, I would say, I'll give you a couple more than 2, but I would say just start planning early so that you don't lose the vendors that you love, right? But outside of the planning process, and just make sure you communicate the things that you want to whoever is planning. I would also advise you, if you're not going with some kind of put together package, which is great for, I think it adds a great amount in terms of value and in terms of value overall,
sure,
because you pay a little bit less, but you get all the elements that you need. So versus if you have a dedicated planner, I think it's important to really express yourself so that the planner knows exactly what is important to you.
I see.
And this comes from experience, because sometimes people don't like to say, and you kind of have to push them a little bit. Don't worry, we're not like sensitive or anything like that. We will take all the information. So please be very, very, very open with what you want, because our job is to make sure that we can execute that and we can find the right elements to put in place to make that dream a reality for you. Okay.
Awesome.
So the next thing I would say is, in terms of tips that I'm gonna offer to clients who are coming here, I would say for the ceremony, this is very important. Write your own vows.
Interesting. Okay.
Write your own vows. I'm telling you, it changes a ceremony significantly. First of all, you are invested emotionally, right? And not only that, but it really helps you to kind of go back and think about what got you guys together in the first place, right?
Sure.
And what's important to you both as you kind of move forward in this new life, okay? And putting it in words and then reading it to each other, it's very rare that people do that and you don't have them just come to tears and be, just completely happy. So that I love. The next thing I would say is trust your vendors. You've hired them. They're professional. They're going to do an amazing job. Just trust them to do whatever it is that you've hired them to do. Now, this is kind of a little bit off the cuff, but I always tell people to get into a French state of mind, right? Especially if you're coming here to Paris.
Sure.
So before you get here, go to a couple of French restaurants in your neighborhood or in your city and eat French food. Download, one of these language apps and learn a few words in French. Read French history. Watch some movies. I love Midnight in Paris. It's amazing. It's fun. It makes you feel like, and it really will help you to feel invested in being in Paris, and also like knowing about the city, knowing about the food, knowing about the history. And I think you'll enjoy it tremendously. So those are the things that I would encourage people to do.
Okay, very good tips, very useful tips. And this all sounds exciting. As you know, at Château Buffamont, we love all types of celebrations and get-togethers.
Yes.
However, it's note that the smaller the group, the grander the experience here at the Chateau. I think you and I may need to work on a special package, maybe for elopements at the Chateau. What would you say?
I would absolutely love that.
Awesome.
I love the Château Buffamont. It's amazing. It's beautiful. And yes, I can think about some really cool collections that will, really show off the chateau, but also provide a venue and an opportunity for people to really express themselves in the kind of French chateau environment.
Awesome. So let's make it official and hereby promise to our viewers, stay tuned. Make sure to follow both Kiss in Paris and Chateau Buffemont Instagram accounts. Very soon we will make it official and share. We will first put together a special package that will help you have the best memorable experience ever. Sounds like a deal, Chantelle?
It sounds like a fabulous deal to me.
Perfect. That is great.
And thank you so much for having me, and thank you to everybody who's been on the call. And of course, we're here for you. We want to welcome you when this lockdown is over.
Yes, hopefully.
We want to welcome everybody to our beautiful, beautiful city and country, Paris, France.
Awesome, Chantelle. Thank you for your tips and joining us today's Let's Talk Wedding session. We will be in touch, and I wish you a great night, Chantelle. Goodbye.
Take care.
See you soon, Chantelle. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. I'm even more pumped up now. Can't wait getting back to work and starting working on these amazing experiences, bringing to life for you. I hope you enjoyed our Let's Talk Wedding session of the week today, and we will see you next week, Thursday at 6 p.m. the same time. Until then, stay informed, stay tuned, just in case. Also, keep staying at home. We will see you soon.